Hey everybody, welcome to Game News for June 8th, 2013. I'm going to be your host for today, Chris. It's actually June 11th, but as some of you probably already know, we had some issues with our game news over the weekend. That is probably one of the most depressing things that's happened in the podcast so far, webcast. And we basically lost everything, and it was going to be a fantastic show. There was so much funny stuff going on. Grover trying to pronounce La-Mulana, some really fantastic story that Mike just delivered on perfectly, and it's all gone. But yeah, E3 is already well underway. We're going to have probably a big, unusual game news show for this week because most likely you guys are going to be you're going to be all caught up on everything anyway. But for now, I want to make sure that the game news that we did have actually gets out there, just in case there's somebody out there that hasn't heard about this. All of this is almost a week behind now, but hope you'll forgive us for what happened. It was kind of unavoidable, and I'm kind of flying solo here, so I hope you don't get tired of my voice. I just wanted to, and I'm not going to be sticking to the original script. I'm just going to kind of fly through this to make it as short and painless as possible. So E3 is actually here, but Konami's third annual pre-E3 show opened up festivities with a look at Metal Gear Solid 5 and Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, along with other stuff including Pro Evolution Soccer, a bunch of iOS titles and some social titles. Robert Carlyle and Patrick Stewart will be returning for Castlevania, and the new voice of Solid Snake from Metal Gear, after the multi-talented David Hayter's been voicing him for over 10 years now, will actually now be replaced by Kiefer Sutherland. Microsoft has confirmed and reformed its policy about what it was going to do with the resale of used games on the new Xbox One, after it had quite a bit of a backlash, doing a 180 or 360. The joke was funnier the first time. But anyway, Microsoft said it will not charge any fees for any used games played on the system anymore and will leave that option completely up to the individual retailers. I think the damage already done, but they went on to say that you can trade a game to a friend's account provided the account has been friended for longer than a month, but only once per game, meaning you can pretty much give a friend a game, but not let them necessarily borrow it without signing into your account and reinstalling it like previously mentioned. There would be no true means of loaning or renting software still to this point. A lot of companies have not really stated where they're at this point or where they stand, because the PS4 is also allowing third-party softwares to allow for certain fees and stuff for used resale games. But more on that when we get to the E3. Zynga, the social and browser game powerhouse, continues to feel a bit of its troubles that let go 18% of its workforce from nearly every branch of the company. That's some 520 jobs. CEO Mark Pincus went on record saying none of us ever expected to face a day like today, especially when so much of our culture has been about growth, but I think we know that this is necessary to move forward. The scale that served us so well in building and delivering leading social game service on the web is now making it hard to successfully lead across mobile and multi-platform, which is where social games are going to be played. He also added that there will be a generous severance packages for everybody leaving the company in appreciation of their work done now. So say what you want about Zynga's business model and what they do to their customers, they do seem to be trying to make a better image for themselves, and they take care of their own. Fuel Entertainment, a Canadian website and Flash advergame maker, made headlines this week after it announced that it was going to go on an all-out search for one of the biggest gaming urban legends of all time, the New Mexico site where allegedly millions of ET Atari 2600 cards were dumped and buried so many years agogo. Even with the city of Alamogordo's approval, CEO Mike Burns admitted that it may be a lost cause and the cards may never be found. They have 6 months to do their search. And they are hoping for something to bear fruit by September, which would mark the 30th anniversary to when those mysterious trucks from Atari's El Paso plant arrived with its unknown cargo. And little surprise, Double Fine's Kickstarter run for the tactical RPG Massive Chalice did indeed get their goal in just 5 days. They still have till the end of the month to make for the stretch goals, which they're actually opening up to what people would want their stretch goals to be, so they're having dialogue with them. The Android-powered WikiPad will be launching the same day as E3 kicked off, which was a couple of days ago, a $250 tablet that features a built-in gamepad. There was a bit of confusion after Kotaku released a report that GameStop was going to be discontinuing the sales of the 8GB Wii U Basic in the coming weeks. Nintendo quickly stepped up and said Nintendo is working with its retail partners to simply rebalance the stock of white 8GB and black 32GB Wii U models in the market. Not exactly sure what that means, but comic book gurus Udon are pretty well known for working with companies like Capcom to bring video game to classic panels of comics. They've announced a ton of new content, including dozens of art books from the anime series Haruhi Suzumiya, a 25th anniversary Mega Man book, the visual novel Sonico, and even quite a bit for the Vocaloid phenomenon Hatsune Miku and Friends, plus several entries into the manga translation of Disgaea 3. All this plus a re-release of the Valkyria Chronicles art books. Doug Tenable, creator of Earthworm Jim and the Neverhood, is hitting Kickstarter for his and Pencil Test Studios' latest outing called Armacrog, asking $900,000. The game is a point-and-click adventure built around the claymation style that made Neverhood so memorable. Neverhood's zany composer, Terry S. Taylor of Daniel Amos fame, will be in on it as well, and another Kickstarter project called H-Hour World's Elite that is headed by SOCOM alumni David Sears for a modern military technical team shooter with options for first and third-person viewpoints, only asking for $200,000 because they're looking for money for a prototype version to shop to actual publishers for a much wider release. I have a feeling this one's going to have a little trouble because while SOCOM has a big following, it's a modern-day tactical shooter, and there's so many of those, it might be hard for them to get a bit of that money in there. Here's a story brought to attention by GameSpot. So a 19-year-old New Zealander was serving a 11-month sentencing term in the form of home detention, where they are monitored under strict watch and often limited to only mobility around the home itself. Had only one more month to go when he called up the police to tell him that he was going to breach detention if he wasn't brought in and taken to jail. His reasoning behind this is what made it international news, and a quote from the local senior constable, the reason was, quote, he had run out of Xbox games to play. Yep. And the last main news story was the state of Rhode Island's making some money off their acquisition of Kingdoms of Amalur, apparently garnering over $700,000 since last summer when the state gained control of the franchise. That, combined with the $400,000 they made in the auction of 38 studios' computers and other office equipment, it's really all a drop in a bucket compared to the $100 million that the company owed the state. Cryptic Studios has opened up a new location in Seattle, Washington called Cryptic North, who's primarily composed of members from defunct Flying Lab software, and its purpose will be largely to improve and build upon Cryptic's 3 big MMOs, Champions Online, which is the main one they're working with, but also Star Trek Online and Neverwinter. Amazon has also opened up a brand new indie game section and is celebrating with a ton of classic indie games on sale like Hotline Miami and Faster Than Light for $5, Trine for $1.25, and most of Double Fine's games for $10 each, and lots more. On top of that, Amazon is handing out Huntsman, The Orphanage, Dynasty of Dusk, and The Curse of the Nordic Cove for free with any game purchase. Interplay, who I wasn't even sure was around anymore, has bought the Free Space franchise from the bankrupt Fallen THQ and subsidiary developer Volition for a minuscule $7,500. Project Diva F will be surprisingly headed to the PS3 and the PlayStation Network come August. This is the rhythm game based around the hugely popular Hatsune Miku we just announced a little bit ago, the synthetic voice Vocaloid program turned pop culture phenomenon. And if you don't believe in her popularity, here's a little famous clip of a live concert from 2011 in the back. Yes, I said live. Microsoft also announced Halo Spartan Assault, a simple single-player bird's-eye view shooter set in the Halo universe to run on PCs and phones powered by Windows 8, releasing in July for $7. Ouya is getting 3 Sonic titles in the form of both Sonic 4 episodes, plus the classic Sonic CD. Indie game maker Undead Labs' big open-world zombie game, State of Decay, launched last week for XBLA for 1,600 Microsoft points. After over 5 years of development, it's headed up by Jeff Strain, a founder of ArenaNet, those creators behind Guild Wars, and is an ex-lead programmer for the early days of World of Warcraft. Lionhead Studios has also somewhat announced that it was going to be releasing an HD re-release of Fable for the Xbox 360, a tease that Microsoft did confirm a few days later that actually will be coming out this year, and from what news there has been, it will also get bundled with an HD upgrade to its expansion, The Lost Chapters. Beloved exploration platform La-Mulana is looking for a crowdfunding for a new game. Being a Japanese developer using Kickstarter will be difficult, as they openly admitted, but they're still looking to their fans to see if they would be on board, even offering La-Mulana and its soundtrack as pledge rewards. And also, indie PC freebie Spelunky's got an upgraded version that's been available for XBLA for some time now, but now it will be available on Steam and GOG very soon. Humble Bundle is throwing out pretty much every Serious Sam ever. Go take a look at that. It's a great deal if you like those old school style first-person shooters. And while I'm more of a fan of Gus Manakamiya's series, the long-running Atelier series continues with a PS3 exclusive Atelier Esha and Logi that will be arriving in Japan on June 27th. And while there has been no mention of a North America release, the last one did get released over here, so there's potential here. And Project Cross Zone, meanwhile, offered a demo to 3DS folks recently for its crazy crossover tactical RPG, but a new demo, that will make 2 different demos, will be released sometime before the game's full release on June 25th in North America and July 5th in Europe. And speaking of crossovers, one more mention as the anime crossover Super Fighter J-Star's Victory, pretty much the only news it's had since its big trailer a while back, officially adding Ichigo from Bleach and Kenshin from Rurouni Kenshin. 2 obvious additions, but at least it's some news. Okay, we'll see how that squeezes it down. That's pretty much the game news for June 8th, 2013. I hope I didn't annoy you guys too much with this very, very lazy video, but it's a crazy busy week, and E3 is not helping matters any. So we'll see you all for the next PrinnyCast, and until next time.